And welcome back, everybody, to the Freaking Awesome Podcast. And this is episode 59.
Yeah, man. Let's kill that bass head. Alright, let's do this. I'm on the air, we got this pockets flow. It's me and Tony on the mics, we gotta let you know of current events, little gaming, sprinkling some entertainment. We stay humble, but our moms still think we're famous. Turn up the bass and baby, maybe let that magic flow. Our spoken word is all the things you really wanna know. Having a good time on the show, T-Bows and Matty G. Tune in and hit subscribe and join us on the FAQ.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Freaking Awesome Podcast. I'm your host, and sitting across from me is the artist formerly known as Chef Boyardee. Matty G. Matty, how you doing today?
Hey, man. My wife would tell you I probably look like I'm made of Chef Boyardee.
You strike me as someone who'd like to eat that stuff. It's disgusting, but okay.
Oh, ravioli in a can? Where's my fork?
Right? Disgusting.
No, man, same old same. Just staying healthy and out of harm's way.
Perfect. Well, I'm sure you know, but maybe some of our listeners don't know, but I do have some exciting news that we're going to share with everybody before we introduce our guest today. 3 days ago, we were informed that according to the editor of New York Times, the Freakin' Awesome Podcast landed on the 50 top global podcast to listen to for 2020. We scooted in at number 45, but that still puts us up there with Joe Rogan and Howard Stern and Alice Cooper and the likes of Will Ferrell. So cough, cough, we beat Adam Carolla. Cough, cough.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
When I saw it, it's funny when you sent it to me, I was just like, wow, what do we do with this now? This new information.
Exactly. That's right, world. Keep drinking the Kool-Aid. We really, really love it.
It's all downhill from here.
Well, without further ado, we do have a fantastic guest on our show today. We actually have the Norway's Ambassador of Rock. He was voted 2012's best new male rock musician by the editors of Rock Over America magazine, and was recently welcomed to the new member of the National Academy of Recording Arts and Science, which, of course, is famously known as the Grammys. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome for Mr. Rocky Kramer. Rocky, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much for joining us on the show today.
It's a pleasure.
Excellent. Well, before we get into too much and chat about things, let's kick off the news.
All right, let's do it. So at first glance, this article doesn't seem that interesting, but let me dig into it.
All right.
So, name of the article: Mexico set to announce winner of presidential jet raffle. Pretty normal, right?
Go on.
You're gonna auction off clearly a jet that was, government purchased.
Okay.
So Mexico City is National Lottery prepared to announce on Tuesday the 100 winners of a much-hyped raffle tied to a luxury presidential jet that the government has slammed as a symbol of corrupt exercises and condoned by its predecessors. The lottery, timed to end on the eve of Mexico's Independence Day festivities, is part of Presidential Andre Manuel Lopez's efforts to cast himself as a leader freeing the country from decades of graft. 100 winners at 6 million tickets offered will each take home 20 million pesos, which is about 1 million US. The total prize money loosely represents the value of the Boeing 787 Dreamliner used by former President Enrique Pena Nieto, that has cast a symbol of excess and corruption in the country where about half the population lives in poverty. So they basically decided to sell the jet that the previous president bought.
Okay.
And it gets even better.
Okay.
So the lottery marks as an unorthodox government effort to boost health spending, with remaining proceeds destined for chronically underfunded public hospitals. So what they're doing is they're giving the jet the value of the jet away after they sell it, for corrupt government practice, and then they're giving all the money they make off the lottery back to charitable organizations in the public. I was like, this is justice at its finest.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a really, really cool idea. You never see stuff like that happen, so it's not exactly funny, but I thought it was a pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
thing to do.
It doesn't mean necessarily that all articles are super on the hilarious side, but it is really cool to see things like that kind of have a little bit of a twist of corruption turned around and given back to the people. So
yeah. So I thought that was really cool. I had to share it.
All right. Well, my article, of course, is a little bit on the more hilarious side, and the best part is this first one is close to home.
I love it.
Yes, the title of this is The Most Bizarre Break-In in Guelph History.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So the police in Guelph are searching for a person who entered a home in Guelph's east and pooped in the dishwasher. Yes. So
What?
Yes. So someone between 1 a.m. and 8:15 a.m. on Sunday, basically someone entered the home or near the Starwood Drive and Eastview Road through the unlocked sliding back glass door of a house, right? So the patio door. The people who live in the house were asleep at the time. Nothing was taken. However, the culprit defecated on the open dishwasher door before leaving the residence.
That's fucking
right.
bonkers.
The police are asking for anyone with information in the case to contact the constable John Hunt at 519-824-1212 with extension 7359 or contact Crime Stoppers. The police want to remind people that to properly secure your residence by night by always making sure you lock your doors.
I thought I woke up this morning to a shitty day.
Right. So honestly, when I read the title of this, I was like, this can't be. What is going on here? And then I'm thinking, oh, it's got to be super. Honestly, the most bizarre thing to break into someone's house just to crap on their dishwasher.
Well, and the fact that it didn't come out of Florida.
Right?
That's the more shocking part for me.
Exactly. Oh, man. There you go, Florida. Canada just one-upped you.
Oh, gosh. That's amazing, dude.
Yeah,
that's a good
that's
find.
a really good one.
Love it.
Yeah, golden.
You want me to jump into my next one?
Yep.
All right. So this one is a complete 180 from my previous one.
Mm-hmm.
Powder cannon hits man in genitals during gender reveal stunt gone wrong. So
this is going to be good. All right.
That's so good.
Yeah.
A Massachusetts man redefined the term blue balls during a gender reveal party gone wrong. The result was a viral video that's been shared more than 1 million times and left many men doubled over in sympathy pain. Tom Crisoti, 43, and his wife Kristen, 36, planned the party in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts, to reveal the gender of their second child, with 4-year-old daughter Ellie in attendance at the big event. The couple, who have been married for 6 years, opted to use cannon cartridges filled with powder, blue for a boy, pink for a girl. And their gathered friends and family know, so they can let them know what the gender of the child was that was due in February 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Crisoti was holding the cartridge the wrong way and following the appropriate count-on by those in attendance, inadvertently blasted himself in the crotch with blue powder, sending him to the lawn and clutching his family jewels. Luckily, Crisoti was unhurt, but it's not the first time a gender reveal party's gone bad. Most recently, the one has been blamed for actually starting the California fires. So it's you just got to watch the video. It's absolutely hilarious.
You know, it just makes me think of that old Simpsons episode where but a football in the groin is a football in the groin.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
you have to laugh at, even if I know it's like pure schadenfreude, but you're totally have to laugh at the fact that some guy just got smoked in the groin at a gender reveal party. I'm glad they're having that one baby because they may not be having the next.
It was funny in the video. The one guy, his buddy, yelled out, "Oh, it looks like you got a vasectomy too." So, but dude, it's crazy. It's like, I don't understand why these gender reveal parties are getting so extreme.
Yeah. I think it's just because they have become so popular that the next person's just always trying to one up the last one, right?
Yeah, like it's getting crazy, man.
Yeah. It definitely is.
I've seen ones of people jumping out of planes.
Yep.
And their flares are the color of the it's yeah, man. Something wrong with society these days.
It's totally crazy. Speaking of these massive social media things that are coming out, I don't know if you heard but there were thousands of people had witnessed an alien ship in New Jersey.
What?
A flying saucer. Yeah. So that brings me to my article, and it's the alien invasion averted as UFO above New Jersey just turns out to be the Goodyear blimp. But so the way this article went was is New Jersey facing an alien invasion? 82 years ago, Orson Welles' infamous War of the Worlds fake radio broadcast sparked panic. Some even say mass hysteria among the state's residents. Videos of reported UFOs hovering over New Jersey sky went viral yesterday on social media, prompting a renewed chatter about like ETs finally arrived. But it turned out that the speculation once again was just a bunch of hot air, courtesy of Goodyear blimp. Yeah, so the Goodyear blimp was perched basically above the MetLife Stadium for a Monday Night Football game. But because obviously it's that time of year where it's, the lights are kind of, it's not as bright in the early evening anymore. It's kind of like that dusk. It's a little darker around, 4 to 6 kind of time. And, honestly, if you look at the video footage on social media and all the tweets and everything that went out, it really does look like a flying saucer. Like, I'm not going to lie. It looks like it's got there's this, blue light kind of flashing. It almost looks more saucer shaped as opposed to a blimp. But it was just between the time of day and the pollution that was kind of in the air. But Goodyear was, no, that was us, so the light that people were seeing was the billboard on the side of the blimp. Right. And it just happened to be flashing blue lights and like fireworks and all this stuff.
So it was just really poor air quality?
Yeah, it was just really weird. Just, you have to jump online. You have to look at all this social media and it really does look like a flying saucer because I really had to look this up and then to see afterwards.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. And it just to see that later on it was just the Goodyear blimp was absolutely hilarious. So like thousands and thousands of people were totally wrong.
Beam me up.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah. So I just couldn't believe that. It just at first I'm looking at this. I'm like, wow, this could be real. Oh, it's the blimp.
Hey man, everyone's in quarantine. Like we got to hold on to something.
Yep.
It's 2020. Right. This keeps getting worse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Check one more for apocalypse bingo.
Right. I'm just waiting, honestly, for great white sharks to grow legs this year, and then they're out of the water. Like I'm like, fuck. Yep.
Oh man.
For sure. All right, Rocky. Again, thank you very much for being on the show. I'm not sure if you obviously you now kind of looked up that Goodyear blimp thing, but I think we have a question a little bit later about extraterrestrial life that we have to ask you. But to maybe start things off, like I know Maddie G, you got some fantastic questions that you want to ask Rocky, but I do kind of want to start this one off myself and ask you. So you were in Norway, and
yes.
How long were you? Like, how long did you live in Norway, and at what age did you leave for the U.S.?
Well, I was born and raised in Norway. I grew up in a town called Trondheim, which is the third largest city.
Okay.
I lived there for 21 years. So I moved here when I was 21. The first time I was actually in the U.S., I was 9 years old. So you can say that I first stepped foot in this country when I was 9.
Okay.
But I then went back and was in Norway for another 10, 11 years. So
it wasn't enough to really grab you at first.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely Norwegian, if that's the question. And but I've been here now for a while, so it's getting used to it.
Excellent.
It's a crazy place.
Yeah. I mean, did they now that you have been in the U.S. for so long, because we can now probably safely assume you're a U.S. citizen as well. Do you hold on to a dual citizenship or?
Well, if you want to know the process, Norway did not allow dual citizenship until this year.
Really?
And I was not eligible to become a U.S. citizen until this year. So I have filed the application, but it takes a while, and the coronavirus definitely has slowed everything down. So I'm still waiting for. Right now, I'm waiting for my interview.
Okay.
And
right.
Once I do the interview, I do the ceremony, which is probably not going to be the way it normally is, where you're out and you got like thousands of people inside the Staples Center or whatever, and they're all cheering and throwing flags up in the air. Like this year, it might be over Zoom or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Hey, maybe we can try to get some type of officiate and start speeding up the process for them. We could start doing those interviews. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, but it'll happen eventually. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Maddie.
Cool.
I was like, you still there?
I'm just, I like to listen. I'm a good listener, my wife says.
Yeah.
Right. Well, kind of touching on just your question a little bit, Tony, about kind of where he came from. I did a little bit of digging, and I know that you come from a family of classical background. So, so I guess you're from what I've read, your dad was it classical violinist?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So I have to ask, obviously you were playing guitar, and you took an interest in it. Did you have to kind of hide it a little bit, or were you just like, hey Dad, I like guitar, like this is what I'm doing now? Like how did that go down?
Well, I first of all started on the violin, so I was following his footsteps originally, and I was actually taking violin lessons. I was performing. I was even offered to play on television, which I basically said, Dad, I don't think this is right for me. Everyone's going to think I'm a violinist. That's going to be my reputation.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a particularly cool instrument. But it's a great instrument. It is. I'm not here to badmouth it. And when somebody knows how to play a violin, it's great. And I had the talent for it. I just didn't want to play it. I fell in love with rock and roll at an early age. So I wanted to play. First I wanted to play drums. So it was mainly my brother and I. We had a little band together. He would play guitar and I would play drums. And so he asked for, so my mom passed away when I was 5. And then after that, it's sort of my brother asked my dad so it was just him raising us. My brother asked my dad if he could have a guitar, and my dad said yes. And then I asked, can I have a guitar? And my dad said no. And then from that point on, I would essentially borrow. I continued to play violin, and I would play a little bit of guitar. Eventually, I fell in love with the guitar, and then it became obvious to me that I wanted to have like my own guitar. And my brother had an acoustic guitar. I wanted an electric. And I actually saved up money for 2 years to be able to buy my own guitar. And I actually went to the store with a friend of mine, bought the guitar without telling my dad, and came home and said, surprise.
How did that go over?
So he was not particularly happy about that. He really wanted me to play the violin, and I just, I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be, I wanted to be the lead guitarist in a rock and roll band, like Jimmy Page or Ace Frehley or Kirk Hammett. I wanted to play that role, and it just happened to be that I could never play that role exclusively because nobody in my bands ever wanted to sing. So I always had to sing. That's kind of how I was tricked into doing that.
Yep.
But, I loved the guitar from an early age, and it's just, it was a very natural instrument for me to play. And I'm glad I didn't choose the drums, because if I'd showed up with a drum set without my dad knowing, I probably wouldn't be here to talk about it.
That's right. A little hard to hide that one in the house, right? Or at least when you're trying to play
that?
Yep.
Did you ever convince your dad to play it a little bit?
So what's interesting about him is that before he got the job as a first violinist in the Trondheim Symphony Orchestra, he was actually a teacher for a year. And so he was, I guess, teaching music. So he actually he actually knew how to play guitar a little bit. At least he knows how to play some chords and little simple stuff. So I remember like one day he picked up a guitar and he started playing it, and I was like, what? You know,
you're like, wait a minute.
That was
wait
his
a minute,
surprise
what's going
back to
on
you.
here?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now,
Now,
kind of a follow-up question. Actually, I have a second one leading off of that. So because you do have that classical music background, it actually shows a lot in kind of that big symphony style guitar compositions that you play in your style. Were your primary inspirations growing up classically driven or more of the rock and roll side?
Well, because my mom passed away when I was 5, we had like 2 options as kids when we were young. Because I was only 5 years old when that happened, and my dad he would play a concert with a symphony every Thursday night, and it was either taking us to the concert or having a babysitter. So a lot of times we would have a babysitter, but I got to see, you know, a symphony orchestra play all kinds of different classical music, and also my dad would listen to the music in the morning. If he was playing a certain symphony, he would listen to it either on vinyl or on a CD while he was having breakfast. So like I just like heard that music so much, and of course I was playing the violin, so I was playing a lot of classical music. I did fall in love with rock and roll at an early age, so I was basically, you know, in my own room I would listen to you know, a lot of Kiss or AC/DC and you know, a lot of the classic rock. But then if I was in the living room, there was always classical music playing. So I just heard it a lot, and I just got so used to it. And I think that once you hear a lot of classical music, you pick up on a lot of their sort of how they go from one place to the next. You know, music is a journey. It's just a matter of what you do from A to B, and you have a lot of options as a composer, but there's also just very simply put, you know, what do you like? What do you want to hear? And I guess I just naturally like classical music mixed with rock and roll.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, now, I've seen some of your shreds online, and it's you definitely can tell you've got some draw from that area. But yeah, you're one hell of a guitarist, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So I kind of want to go back just a little bit to it. You were mentioning when you were younger, and you know, you started playing the violin, and your dad wanted you to play the violin, but your brother got the guitar. Now, I think I read somewhere it's because you kind of picked up an instrument, and it didn't really matter what you kind of picked up. You just found that you could hammer out a melody no matter what. Now, did your brother just not have that gift when it came to like picking up the violin? Was he just like, your dad was like, no, that's fine. You can plunk away at the guitar, I guess.
Well, I think that there's probably a little bit of genetics there. My mother was a pianist, and I'm definitely saying pianist, not the other word, and that it sounds like.
Yep.
And I think that I got the violin genetics, and my brother got the piano genetics, because he's a great pianist. And what happened is that my dad wanted originally to teach my brother how to play the violin, and he wanted him to play like an ambulance sound, like like that, which you basically just take your finger up and down on the fingerboard, and then you move your bow up and down.
Yeah.
And it was getting that coordination between your left hand and your right hand, and he was a little confused by it, and I was looking at it, and I was a little arrogant, 5-year-old, thinking, I can do that. Give me the violin. And basically, let me try. I tried it because I was basically doing it like, I know a lot of people like playing air guitar, but I was playing air violin while this was happening, just like to myself, like I can do this.
Yeah.
And so I picked it up and I did it right away. And my dad said, okay, I guess you should play violin. And then my brother ended up taking piano lessons. So it sort of made sense. And then in the next couple of years, my brother and I actually played together. Like he would play piano, I'd play violin, and we performed a lot of times for a lot of people. and that was kind of like our thing. And we played for the school and all kinds of events, and that was like a lot of people knew us from the classical stuff, and we both ended up playing in rock and roll bands. But now think about this: you're a young boy. Somebody gives you a violin and says, "Okay, I want you to play this." What do? You just, you know what? Just can't
Dude,
do
I
it,
just
Dad.
picture you
Can't
5
do
years
it.
old, grabbing it, just shredding Thunderstruck on it.
Right.
But yeah, so I think my brother was maybe smarter than me. He's like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I'm just going to pretend I don't know how.
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking afterwards. I'm like, did you get your dad's like, okay, it's you, and you're like, ah, crap. You're like,
oh boy, what did I do?
Right? Like how you could have just saved maybe a little bit of that extra angst of having to put off what you really wanted to do to do something that your dad really wanted you to do, and maybe you could have been playing a little earlier or something if you weren't as good as you were.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
You never know.
So much for having talent.
Yeah, right. Now, as a child in Norway, what kind of like influences did you have that were rock and roll based, or that were pulling you towards rock and roll?
When I was very young, I remember listening to the Beatles a lot. I think that was something that my dad recommended, even though I don't consider my dad to be a big Beatles fan, but it was one of the things that we ended up listening to early on. I remember having several Beatles CDs, and one of my favorite bands, even from an early age, was Pink Floyd, mainly because their music was so different than what you hear on the radio for the most part. Like there's a song called "Shine on You, Crazy Diamond" that is it's a very long song, and for those of you who haven't heard it, if you haven't heard it, you should check it out. And it just takes you on this wild ride. There's nothing quite like it, and I really liked how it's almost like a hypnosis, like musical hypnosis, where you drift away into some strange place where you've never been before. I can really get into that. I was a big Kiss fan growing up, and I'm still a Kiss fan, I'm willing to admit. I spent a lot of hours listening to them and watching their shows on either a television or I've seen them live several times, but
that's really cool.
That was kind of a fun thing. And I think a big influence was Kiss because they put on a really great show. And I know a lot of people give them a hard time for maybe like they're not the best musicians, but those guys are standing up there with like 50 pounds of armor, and they're playing guitar, they're sweating. I mean, it's tough what they're doing, and it takes a lot of coordination to do what they do.
Yeah. And
I feel like they don't get the credit for it, but they're very hardworking guys.
I never really understood that, actually. People gave them such a hard time, and it's like here's you have to remember that back in the days when Kiss started, it wasn't good looking boy bands and everything. Like these guys were generally rough. It was hair metal. It was a whole new genre that had kind of like sprung from other things, and I thought they were doing fantastic with it personally. So I never really understood when people were giving them such a hard time. So
yeah,
that actually leads me into one of my questions. So a lot of rock stars end up conforming to kind of a more modernistic repertoire, but you seem comfortable right where you are. And I'm a bit biased because I actually love what you're doing. I love kind of your thing. So do you ever see yourself changing your image for anyone or anything though?
I think that's always a possibility. I mean, if you look at, it's kind of, I think when you're an artist, you have two options. You can either be like someone like Slash, who Slash has always been Slash, and he's always probably going to be Slash until the day he dies or the day he gives up. He's not going to cut his hair short. He's not going to do anything crazy. Then you got people like maybe Justin Bieber or Lady Gaga or Miley Cyrus. They're always changing their look because maybe it's because they're so popular that they need to change it because people, I guess, they're so exposed. There's so much exposure of those artists that if they look the same in 2 years from now, then they can't they're not as appealing anymore because you've already done that. Like you've moved on, so they have to move on. But the way I see it is that I'm not opposed to changing my look, but it has to be something that feels like it's me, and it's not about. I'm not interested in dyeing my hair pink or something, or do something that's just to look crazy, just to look different. To get a big tattoo that says Jesus on my chest or something. Like I'm not looking for. Some like something that wouldn't feel right or would be different in me just to be, or maybe just to try to follow a trend. Like there's a lot of, and I'm not here to talk bad about tattoos, but like I'm not into tattoos, but so if I got a tattoo, it would just be wrong. It wouldn't be me. Like it would just wouldn't fit me.
Yeah.
So
I was watching the Rockstar video, and I was like, it's just like your voice and the way you play and your look for me, it just fit perfectly. So like I can't pick, like I don't know, when you're saying pink hair and stuff, I can't picture, at least taking that song into account, you looking any differently than you do. But I get what you're saying.
Right, and just keep in mind, like because like I said, Kiss was an early influence. To me, the idea of a rock star was long black hair and, skinny and, you play your guitar and you're doing crazy stuff. Like I have like a very, maybe like I've already decided what a rock star is, even though you can certainly look like a rock star with, you can be, Billy Idol is a rock star, right? I mean, he's got short blonde hair. I could do that. Right. I mean, my actual natural hair color is blonde, so I could technically do that. Yeah. And it would maybe that would be more me, right, than me trying to look like I'm Paul Stanley. But to me, it was just that when you're an artist, you have to express yourself, and sometimes it's just a matter of finding that comfort zone, and that sometimes it's just you want to look like you're a rock star. You don't want to just look like you're some guy who just got out of bed. So I don't know.
I was also, watching the Rockstar video not too long ago, and you can definitely see where you have that influence of like Kiss and like Twisted Sister and everything like that. It's like the video is very reminiscent, and it was actually really, really cool for me because you just don't hear people making music like that anymore. And it was amazing. It was so refreshing to hear something that was a little bit more of like, roots music when I grew up, which is fantastic. And it was really cool. Love the video. It's got a little tongue-in-cheek humor in there, and the song's great. So it's great what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Right. Yeah. It was basically, our mentality was let's make let's make a music video like they were in the 80s when MTV was the channel that all the kids were watching,
and it was fun. And
so that was the big inspiration. And I never got to experience the 80s because I was born in the 90s. So it's kind of like I'm a 80s rocker born in the 90s, and that was the mentality we had when we made that video. So we wanted to have kind of an over the top teacher that's actually a guy, but dressed to look like an old lady. Like we're doing that, and some people were watching this and they're going, you should have hired an old lady to play the teacher. And I'm thinking, well, that's not the point.
That's
the
right.
point is that it is over the top. Like that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
And like if you don't get it, then maybe it's not for you.
Yeah. Everything in the day of
you
hair
have a
metal
couple
was like
little
that.
intros in that your album there. I like what you do with those.
Yeah. It's fun, and like I said, it reminds me of like totally of the 80s, like Twisted Sister. You think of We're Not Going to Take It, and it was exactly like those. So it was so cool, and instantly I kind of recognized that style, and it was really fun. It was really nice to kind of see someone doing that again. So it's and everything goes more towards pop, and as I had mentioned before, you've got like the Biebers and all the boy bands, and you got all these good looking kids, and now here you're a good looking guy, but you still have got that that hair metal kind of look going to you, like that day, and let's be honest, Gene Simmons isn't the best looking dude even when he was young. So, and not a lot of people were of that, of that time, Schneider and all those others, that they just, They were amazing vocalists. They were great showmen, but they didn't have the general good looks that, like, you've got that modern day good look with that old fashioned sound, which was just so cool.
Holy Tony, buy him a drink.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Get you a whole bottle at that point. So go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was just going to ask him, like, you've got a really, really good voice for rock and roll. And I was curious, like, did you start singing other things before you transitioned to that? Or have you always been just, you know, a good kind of rock style singer?
So we can go way back, and I can say that my mom actually she sang in a choir. So the voice, so singing is in my DNA. I always liked rock and roll singers, mainly because they are not trying to be perfect. And that's something that I like about rock and roll. It can be very gritty. It's raspy, it's distorted, it's not trying to, like, when you're an opera singer, you're trying so desperately to be 100% perfect with everything. And it's, don't get me wrong, that's beautiful. It's beautiful to listen to, but with rock and roll, you got, like, some of the best singers. They don't necessarily have a beautiful voice. When you listen to AC/DC, you're not like, oh, that's a beautiful voice.
Yeah,
but it gets, but it's got, it's gritty, and it's got personality, and it's just like it's fun. And that's what I think is maybe the best thing about rock and roll, is that it's a fun music genre that, when you go to a rock show, it's like you have a good time, because everything is kind of just like, it's party music. And even though my music is not necessarily, hey, let's have a beer and have a good time, even though one of my songs is called Alcohol. It's not actually about alcohol, but it's just, singing to me was something that when I started my first bands, nobody wanted to sing. So I sang, and my instincts was always, go for kind of a loud, not necessarily obnoxious, but like a loud kind of, powerful voice.
Yeah.
And, kind of more like, I mean, first of all, I love, Freddie Mercury and Michael Jackson, and they're all kind of like using a lot of power. It's not, it's not soft. I mean, it can be soft. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like something I mean, those two examples, they're both known for having a lot of dynamics in their voices. But when you got those loud guitar amps, and you got drums that are insanely loud, especially when you're standing right next to them, you have to have a voice that cuts through. And I figured that, you have to have the technique to be able to do those things. And that's something that took me a while, I'm willing to admit. Singing is definitely something you should learn how to do. And when you do, you have a tremendous benefit to you for a long time, because it's, when you're doing that every night, and you're playing, a show every night, sometimes if people lose their voices in the first half of the tour, that's not a good thing.
No.
I don't want to be one of them.
Yeah.
So.
Gotta hydrate really well.
Hydrate, that's right.
Right.
And the rock and roll lifestyle is like the worst thing for a singer, because everything that rock stars do is bad for your voice. It's like if you're at a rock and roll club after a show, there's gonna be beers, pizza, and cokes, and I mean, everything that is bad for you. You're not going to get enough sleep. You're not going to do. So you're doing all these things that's bad for your voice, and then you have to have a show the next day, and then you're like,
it wasn't worth it.
Where's my voice?
Yeah. Now, I actually, so you were speaking of Freddie Mercury, and of course I had to bring it up. You do a wonderful cover of "Show Must Go On." And it was amazing, actually, when I heard you. And I was just like, when I heard or saw the video that you're going to do this, I was just like, wow, that is stepping into crazy big shoes vocally to pull off something that Freddie Mercury had done. And you did it beautifully. It was really well done. So if anybody wants to watch Rocky doing this one-man band version of it, it is just beautiful.
Thank you. The background of that song, to me personally, is that it was when I first took vocal lessons when I came to LA, the vocal coach asked me, what is a song that you would like to sing? And I said, The Show Must Go On by Queen.
Mm-hmm.
So we were actually like working on that song a little bit. And of course, I could not sing it back then. Certainly not the way I did today. I mean, it was just impossible for me to sing. So to me, it was like this big accomplishment being able to sing that without, having all the cats in the neighborhood try to kill themselves.
Yeah.
So it was. Just,
I was hoping when you covered
it's like
the
a big
final
achievement.
countdown, I was like, I was hoping you do the vocals too. It was an amazing shred, but
yeah,
you should you should redo it with vocals because I think you could really belt that.
Yeah, it is amazing.
Redo what?
The final countdown.
Oh, the final countdown. So I do this show. I do a Twitch show every Tuesday night, and I do final countdown once in a while. I did it a few weeks ago. So
oh, nice.
I do that.
I
do that song.
When I heard you were just doing the guitar, which was amazing.
Okay, that's on YouTube. That's just a little. That's just something I was doing back a few years ago. Just trying to get some videos of me playing guitar. That just mainly for Instagram. But then I decided to put it on YouTube because just for the views,
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. Cool. All right, I got one more question before we move over to the next section of the show, and that is, if you could choose one artist, dead or alive, to perform with, who would it be?
If it's dead or alive, I would love to work with or perform with. I mean, definitely would love to perform with Freddie Mercury. That would be an insane experience for me.
Yeah.
If somebody would have to be alive, I would say David Gilmour from Pink Floyd. That would be, which I think is. I mean, they're not touring. I don't think they're touring anymore, but that's a moderately realistic thing, maybe.
Well, we know Scotty Page. I mean,
famous.
Next time we have him on the show, we'll see if he's connected with David and see if we can hook you up.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people. I mean, probably like Kiss would be fun, or AC/DC.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. I'm a big fan of Yngwie Malmsteen. He was a big influence as a guitar player. So he's someone that who he's from Sweden. I'm from Norway. So he came to LA from Sweden. I came to LA from Norway. So I think that we could probably have a good conversation, and we could probably do something fun on stage as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Alrighty, let's get into the second part of our show, which is the slightly slower than average rapid fire questions with Matty G.
Rapid fire questions.
What made up word would you register into the English language?
Made up word. I like to use the word. Oh gosh, now you're putting me on the spot. There's a word I like to use a lot. It's not. I didn't invent it, but I forgot it. I'm so sorry.
You can randomly scream it out later.
Yeah.
I
you'll
will
remember
if
by
I think of
question
it.
10.
Yeah.
What is the scariest dream that you can remember?
The scariest dream I can remember. I would say probably. I've had some, I don't really dream a lot about monsters. I know a lot of people do that, and I never really do that. But I've had things where I don't know if you guys have ever had like a thing where you're basically dreaming that you're in bed, but that there's like a ghost in the room.
Yeah.
That one's creepy to me. That's the one that probably freaks me out the most.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, I've had that dream.
We might have a ghost in our place, so it might be real for me.
The real ghost.
What superpower would you pick if you could pick one?
I would love to be able to teleport. I think that's the most, maybe, or fly. Either one. If I can fly as fast as Superman, then that would be a good choice too.
Flying's popular. Teleport has become like the new favorite amongst many people. Apparently. Yeah, that's like the new thing.
Yeah, you can go anywhere.
It's like the millennial flight.
Yep.
Yeah,
you're too lazy to even fly. You just want to be there. No more travel time. Screw that crap.
Instant gratification piece of the generation.
Yeah,
and it has to be free.
Yep.
What's your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory. I'll never forget it. It was my birthday, my third birthday, and I remember that there was a cake in front of me, and I was like blowing the candles out. It had three candles on it because it was my third birthday. I remember that very well.
That was very cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever have ice cream cakes?
Yes. That is actually pretty popular in Norway.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we have one that's shaped like what do you call it? A shoehorn. It's a shoehorn ice cream cake. That's a very
Really?
common thing for like our national holiday or maybe a birthday. That one does. If you go to a party, like a family party, then it's usually there if you want it.
The shoehorn cake.
Nice. We used to have this tradition
Yeah.
in my family where every birthday they'd smush your face into the cake.
Yeah.
And one year my grandpa did it and didn't realize the ice cream cake was still frozen, and I got a bloody nose.
Oh no.
True story.
Awful.
Yeah.
Anyways,
That's
what activity makes you the happiest?
I was probably playing guitar or making music. Sometimes it can be video games. The video games can also be very frustrating. So
Ah.
I'll take music.
Me and Tony are gamers as
making
well.
music.
So,
Yeah,
what are you playing
yeah.
lately? Anything good?
Lately, I've been switching between a few. I've been playing a lot of Fall Guys, which is
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really popular.
you know what it is. It's popular. It's the most fun and frustrating game ever. I'm also
is.
playing a game called Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands,
Oh, that's a good one.
Nice.
which
Yeah.
is it's more like you're just kind of taking out bad guys slowly and steadily. It's more stealth, which is kind of fun. I play Rainbow Six Siege, and this
Nice.
weekend I'll be playing the next Call of Duty. The alpha is out on PlayStation 4, so I'll be playing that.
Oh,
Cool.
for the new Black Ops.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new Black Ops Cold War, so I'll be playing that.
You know, it's really funny. We
Nice.
used to have a version of Fall Guy when I was young. It was called Tron. It's like
Oh.
it's the same thing, right? Like the Tron light bikes. you just basically have to keep ahead of the other person so that you're not eliminated.
Oh,
Right,
Tony, I don't know if you
right.
read it, but in Fall Guys, people were cheating, right? So they stuck
Yeah.
all the cheaters on a cheater island.
That's awesome.
It's pretty badass.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's smart.
Imagine cheating in Fall Guys.
Yeah.
What foreign language would you most like to learn? Even though you speak
An
two.
honest answer is I'm working on my Spanish, so that's the one that I'm really trying to learn. I'm not great, but I'm working on it every day. But it's a process. I wouldn't mind knowing Japanese, but that's having to learn all of those symbols or letters, what you would call them. That's so much work. So I'm counting on Spanish being my third language. I had German in school, but that's also the one that I'm not great at.
Spanish
there you
is good. It'll come in handy when Trump gets reelected and you have to cross the border.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Get
You
to
know-
Mexico.
Jokes.
My main
Life.
thing is as long as whatever language you learn, you know how to ask where the bathroom is. That's always been my concern. So
That's the one I know. Donde está
Yeah.
el baño?
yeah.
That's the one I know.
See,
That's the best one.
it's the first one. Yep.
Yeah.
What decade would you most like to live in?
Well, it's I say this all the time. I would love to live from 1980 to 1990, or maybe even 1992 or so. That's like the 80s is definitely my favorite decade.
It was a good time. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
I was 87, so I missed most of it, but I grew up on 80s influences. A lot of 80s synth.
Yeah, I lived right
Yeah.
through
Yeah,
all
a lot
of
of
it.
I love the
Starship.
80s. I
Yeah.
love that stuff.
Yeah. It's so cool. Yeah.
Do you have a go-to joke?
I don't have a go-to joke, and every time people ask me if I have a go-to joke, or every time they ask me to tell a joke, I don't really have a joke to tell them. I need to. So I get these. I don't know if you guys have Laffy Taffies, but it's like a
Yep.
candy,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
it's got two jokes on the back, and some of those jokes are just awful. But so every time I read those jokes to myself, and think like, okay, maybe I should try to remember this one. I never do though.
You should just have a pocket full of Laffy Taffy strips left over. If someone asks you, like, oh yeah, hold on one
I'll tell
second.
you the joke I heard. What was the one? Hold on. Oh, did
Wanna
you guys
hear
hear
a
about the
joke?
scarecrow that got a promotion?
Okay, no,
He was outstanding in his field.
but don't.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
good
a
one.
Laffy Taffy joke.
That's funny.
It's some of the Laffy Taffy jokes are basically like what is the capital of France, and it's like the answer is Paris. It's just a factual thing. Like,
Yeah.
how is that a joke?
Like, this isn't funny.
How is this funny? It's just a very factual thing. How is this a joke?
Yeah. Maybe it's for the person who doesn't know the answer. And then you're like, how didn't you know? What a joke. You didn't know that?
Yeah. That's funny. Next time I buy one, I'm just going to look up the fact and just start just bursting out laughing.
Yeah.
We'll see what Ashley thinks of that.
Yeah. Make her to yourself.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you believe in aliens?
There it is.
There it is. We've now come full circle.
Yep.
I believe that. So, according to scientists, the universe is infinite. So, if the universe is infinite, it would be arrogant for us to assume that there's not a single planet out there that doesn't have some sort of life form that is at least somewhat similar to ours, or at least some type of animal. There's probably a planet out there with dinosaurs. There's probably a planet that have some sort of human-like aliens on it. Are we ever going to visit? Are they ever going to visit us, or are we going to visit them? Probably not.
Yeah. You never know. You never know. Apparently, I just saw something I saw something online that I guess scientists are now looking at a gaseous life form that might be in Venus.
Yes, I was reading about that.
Yeah,
That's
so
interesting.
that'd be really cool. Can't wait for more information on that. Yeah.
I'm surprised it wasn't close to your.
They're going to send something over there to figure out more about that.
Yeah. There's your joke, Matt. There's your joke of the day.
Thanks, Laffy Taffy.
Where was the gaseous alien found? Uranus.
So good. What? If PETA wouldn't hunt you down, what exotic animal would you domesticate?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think and it has nothing to do with watching Joe Exotic, but I think tigers are pretty cool. But I don't know if I would survive. But they seem to have a interesting personality, and they're beautiful.
And they're pretty rock and roll.
They are rock and roll. There's a lot of rockers that had tigers back in the day, like in the 80s and stuff.
Yeah.
That was a big thing.
Yeah.
What gets on your nerves? What's your biggest pet peeve?
Gosh, there's a lot of things.
LA traffic.
Right.
If you're, where are you guys? I think you guys in Canada, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in Ontario.
Things are pretty free flowing up here.
Toronto gets slammed pretty bad. I've heard it's in a bad Toronto.
I was
going to
ask, is it bad? Because LA, maybe the worst thing in my opinion is the traffic. And I was reading about something on the internet talking about how the traffic is technically worse in San Francisco. But I was in San Francisco, and I didn't think that. I thought the traffic was much better than it's here in LA. So I kind of disagree with that thing I read on the internet.
Wow.
You know what's crazy, actually? So Ottawa, our capital, it's not as bad traffic, but it has a lot of one-way streets, so it's confusing as hell. Have you been to Ottawa recently, Tony? Like downtown?
Not in a couple of years. My brother lives there though. He lives right downtown. So
that's more frustrating for me than like heavy Toronto traffic, because then you can just you're gonna wait, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I get super anxious when I think I'm driving down the wrong side of the road.
There's a lot of that in Ottawa. A lot of one-way streets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in Los Angeles, they because of the Olympics in 1984, they changed a lot of the streets to make them one way, and they just stayed that way. So
they're like, we've already bought the signs.
Like, we already bought the signs, so we're going to just keep it this way.
Yeah.
So I guess people just got used to it, but it's very, especially if you're, because nowadays we're all looking at maps on our phones, and sometimes I look at the map.
Never
like in
updated.
Google Maps. And I say, okay, this goes, okay, this street to here, make a right here. But then you get there, and it turns out it's a one-way street. You can't make a right because you have to make a left.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
come on.
It's like Google, you're in California. Like,
Yeah.
That's right.
It's true.
Oh boy.
What is the last thing you did just for yourself?
Just for myself, I think the last thing, like the last thing before I did this interview, or just, in the last,
anything for yourself.
Just for yourself, like like when you didn't have to do something for someone else, or people didn't rely, you just did something just for you.
Probably just downloading that alpha for Call of Duty.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you said that because it was on my brain. I was like, I bet you grabbed the alpha. He's excited for that.
I think like I did that a few hours ago. That's the most recent thing I've done.
Right
I do that only for myself.
Hey man, video games are a great outlet. Tony and I are both big proponents of that. So
yeah.
That's awesome.
What activity makes you totally lose track of time?
That's well, definitely music does that has that effect on me. Working on music, I can definitely look at the time and all of a sudden it's been 2 hours and I didn't really feel like it was 2 hours. Video games have the same effect though. A lot of times, especially if you're doing something, if you're in the zone and you're just not thinking, and all of a sudden it's been an hour, it's been 2 hours, and you don't really think about it so much.
Yep.
I picked up Breath of the Wild for the first time since it came out, and I was playing it, and literally I looked down, it's 2 a.m. I started playing at like 8. I'm like, what just happened? So,
yeah, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. What is the best thing that you've ever eaten?
Best thing I've ever eaten. The one thing, and this is going to sound crazy to you, because you have either of you ever been to Norway? I just want to ask you this.
I
haven't. No.
Okay. So this is going to sound crazy to you, but to me, the best thing, the most, like, the biggest comfort food for me is Norwegian pizza. There's a place called Pepe's. They have the best pizza I've had, anywhere. I mean, I've been to Italy. I've been in the U.S. I've been, I've been to New York. I've been to all these places, and I'm telling you, the best pizza you can find is Norwegian pizza. And it is technically considered Chicago style.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
it's a deep
is.
dish.
It is incredible pizza. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the flour. Maybe it's the Norwegian
water.
dairy. Like Norwegian cheeses are very good.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe it's just better ingredients, right? Better water, better dairy, better everything probably over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's really well. Yeah. I never drink tap water around here because I just can't. But then the best water I've ever had is Norwegian tap water.
I bet.
It's incredible.
Yeah. We've got a few areas in Ontario that are just like natural spring
You
water.
have
That's so
Dasani coming from your taps?
Well, actually, I could tell you, almost everybody has Dasani coming from their taps. Because
I know.
It's like
I don't want to get into that can of worms.
Right.
I know where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently most big brands water is literally just tap water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mineralized water.
Yeah.
Yeah. AKA tap water. Yeah.
They have 2 hard drive magnets on the side of the tap. That's how they deionize it. Have you ever had a crush on a fictional character? So it could be like TV show, cartoon, any fictional character.
Yeah.
So when you say fictional, but it can still be a real person, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like a video game or something. Okay. Or a cartoon.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Yeah. No, it could just be an actress who played a character in a show, and that character was
Like if you ask me, I'd be like Kelly
Yeah.
Kapowski, Saved by the Bell.
Yeah. Matt's is Miss Frizzle.
Yeah, she's my guilty pleasure. You can ride my school bus.
Yeah. True story.
I mean, I feel like it's always, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm watching a show, it's always about, it's like picking who you like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I like on. I was watching a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So like I'm a big fan of Amy.
Okay.
If you've seen the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So there's a big shout out.
Yeah.
But it's always about whatever I'm watching.
Yeah.
So like right now I'm watching Community, and I'm not sure. Well, I guess Alison Brie.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Her character. I guess.
Did you ever watch Glow?
Yeah.
She's pretty good in Glow. Alison Brie.
Okay.
I haven't seen that one. I have to see it because.
Yeah, it's like she starts not starts it, but female wrestling league. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And the last question: what is your favorite podcast you've been on in the last 12 hours?
You know, there's this one that's called the Freaking Awesome Podcast, and I have to say it is freaking awesome.
That's excellent. Ooh, you know, we might have to start by narrowing that bandwidth a little bit. Like the last 4 hours?
4 hours or 3 hours? Yeah.
The last 15 minutes?
Well, you know, I have done 3 interviews in like 3 hours.
Hey, right on.
If that was the case today, it would have been like, ooh, what should I say?
Hey, come on now, it would still be us.
Yep, we're still taking that title.
It would still be you guys, of course.
That's awesome. Well, before we let you go, do you have any projects that you're working on that you're passionate about that you'd like people to know, or any social media where people can get you, or even better, how people can get a hold of your songs to download?
Sure. Let's start with how to get the songs. My album's called Firestorm. It's available everywhere digitally except Spotify, and it's also available on CD and vinyl, which if you want a link to that, you can go to my website, which is rockykramer.com. If you want to communicate with me in any shape or form, you can find me on social media. On Instagram, Twitter, it's just Rocky Kramer. On Facebook, it's Rocky Kramer Official. And every Tuesday, I do a show on Twitch called Rock and Roll Tuesdays. And that's also just Rocky Kramer. There's also a link on I always post a link on Twitter, and I guess if you go to my Instagram, there's a link there because they don't allow you to post links. You have to put the link in the bio.
Yeah.
And I do play video games on the weekend, so I will be streaming. Let's go back to Call of Duty again. I will be streaming Call of Duty this weekend.
Very, very cool.
So there you go.
Excellent. Well, for any of our listeners that are on the road, we'll make sure we post up all those social media links on the guest page of our website next to Rocky Kramer's bio. So anybody wants to connect or download, if you forget and you're driving right now, then just jump over to our webpage. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for all your time, Rocky. Really, really appreciate it. You guys, you're doing some fantastic work out there, so keep up with it, and hopefully we can circle back around with you and have you back again sometime.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was a pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anytime, man. Thank you.
Have a wonderful night.
You too.
Thanks. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Take care.
So this is a good time for us to pitch our social media. You could get us on our website,
thefap.ca,
on Twitter
is the Fap4,
you can get us on Instagram,
is the Fap Podcast,
don't forget our Facebook,
the Freaking Awesome Podcast,
and you can always reach out via email,
thefappodcast@gmail.com. I'm on the air, we got this podcast.
not again.
Wicked sweet.